Israeli civilians are dying in these attacks because of the apartheid. Do Palestinians have a right to kill Israeli soldiers, Congressman? On October 7th, when they attacked the military bases in the Gaza envelope, did the Qassam brigades and Surah al-Quds have a right to kill Israeli soldiers? Yes or no? On October 7th, did Palestinians have a right to attack Israeli military bases in the Gaza envelope? Yes or no?
I mean, I think October 7th's attack was a terrorist attack, so I don't justify.
Was it a terrorist attack when the first targets that were hit on the morning of October 7th were multiple military bases? Did Palestinian forces have a right to attack those military bases?
I am not for violence again in any way. I mean, I am for making sure that we end the occupation. Do they have a right
to do it, Congressman? Do they have a right to attack Israeli soldiers?
No, I'm not going to say that Hamas had a right to attack Israeli soldiers or kill Israelis. Like I don't think that advances peace or advances Palestinian statehood.
So now Khanna is getting attacked on all fronts. So he went to the West Bank, try to find out how Palestinians live and unfortunately suffer. Mainstream media has been attacking him 24/7 for doing it. How dare you care about Palestinians, right? Now that's Jeremy Scahill of Drop Site News attacking from the other side, saying, why don't you say that the Palestinians have a right to attack Israeli soldiers? Mm-hmm. Yes, man, tough to catch a break if you're Khanna these days.
Yeah, it really is. And I admire him for persisting through all of this. So that was Khanna, and he sat down for an interview with Drop Sites. You saw on that clip, it was Ryan Grimm, Jeremy Scahill, and Maisa Mustafa. And the conversation was generally pretty friendly enough, right? Congressman Khanna is relatively ideologically aligned with Drop Site, but when it came to Scahill's probe about a universal standard being applied to killings in the region, that is when things started to get a little bit tense. So let's take a look at some more.
Does Israel have a right to drop a single bomb on Gaza in response to October 7th?
I believe Israel had the right to get people who killed the civilians, but not in the way they went about it, which I've said is genocide.
But the Palestinians don't have a right to attack the very military bases that are running the killing operations on October 6th, 2023, or October 5th, 2023. It's a double standard. You're saying there are ways that Israel should be able to kill Palestinians, but there is never a condition under which Palestinians can attack armed, uniformed soldiers of a force that is still considered an occupying force under international law. I don't make it make sense to me.
Okay, so the exchange got a little bit better when Roe pointed out that the power differential that exists between Israel and Palestine makes a nonviolent response necessary, and that by extension, it helps regarding America's shifting view on Israel's relationship to Palestine. So let's watch that.
Because I think that the armed resistance is only going to be ineffective given the power differentials. It's similar to what Gandhi thought in terms of how he took on the British Empire, and that having a moral force of civil resistance and appealing to the world's conscience is going to be much better chance of getting dignity and peace.
2019, the Palestinians organized the Great March of Return, which was a mass nonviolent mobilization at the gates of the concentration camp walls and fence in Gaza. And you know what Israeli soldiers did, Representative Khanna? They had a competition to who could shoot the most kneecaps of Palestinians.
Well, I think that
were backed by Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas. So there's a track record and there's a context. You're talking about tactical issues. The Palestinians have tried that. The Palestinians did.
Well, I think opinion is down. I think opinion is shifting now in America, where those kind of approaches would get a better reception in the United States.
So as you might expect, over on X, the Israel firsters were losing their mind over this interview. And here is Todd Richmond. Here's what he had to say. He said, "This is one of the most unbelievable interviews I have watched since October 7th. The hate spewing and justification for Hamas attacks on Israel from Jeremy Scahill on this drop site news is unreal. And Ryan Grimm just sitting there saying nothing of these questions, and Ro Khanna continuing to participate in this questioning and giving credibility to this hateful interview is sad to see. Yes, Jeremy and your supporters, please justify October 7th on these soldiers. And then if you and your followers are not sick to your stomach after seeing these soldiers murdered, go see what they did to the concert goers at the Nova Festival in Ram. And then there is also this from Julie Roginski. She said, did Ro Khanna not think that the leopard would eventually eat his face when he hitched his star to these terrorist cosplayers? Oh my God. All right, so with all of that, Ro Khanna has been very willing to engage on this issue and stick through a very tough interview with Scahill, and it might reveal something of his character that could be compelling to voters, and that might come in handy. He didn't run, he didn't cry anti-Semitism, and he didn't get overly defensive. He just engaged with Scahill, which I think is the way to do it. He didn't get flustered or anything like that. This is in conjunction with him bringing awareness to all of the settler violence that has been going on over there after being stopped on a trip to Palestine, along with his continued critique of Israel and his support of Massey's bill to end foreign aid to Israel. And all of this makes him a very compelling figure for Israel-wary voters in 2028. Very encouraging, Cenk, to have somebody like this who is out there in Congress representing some people in this country at least. He's a good voice to have out there. What are your thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, so look, this one's a tough one, but there is a way to solve who's right here, right? Because people often forget two things can be true at the same time. So is Jeremy Scahill's point about the double standard correct? Yes, it is, okay? At the same time, is Ro's point that a peaceful approach to this is the better approach? Yes, he's also correct. You guys know I hate scams, especially the ones that target seniors. And Medicare, chock full of them. You've got commission-hungry brokers steering people toward whatever pays the broker the most, not what's best for you. Unfortunately, that's the whole game for so many of them. So here's who I actually trust. A company called Chapter. We did our homework on them. They're independent Medicare advisors, the only ones that compare every plan nationwide. The best plan for you is out there, and Chapter will help you find it. Folks who switched with Chapter last year saved an average of $1,100. Chapter's advisors are honest. They're not paid to just steer you to certain plans. They work for you, not big insurance. A guy on our team had his dad call. Turned out he was already on the right plan, and they just told him so. So they're not looking to push anything. Their entire focus is on finding what's right for you. It's free, it's under 20 minutes. So skip the scams and call Chapter today. Call 805-201-2275 for Medicare help you can trust. That's 805-201-2275. So the Israelis murder innocent Palestinian civilians all the time. They have an 83% civilian kill ratio. It's the worst of any terrorist group in the world. So if you're talking about terrorism, the Israelis are the worst terrorists there are. The government is, right? The IDF is. There's no question about it. It's that those are the actual IDF numbers that were leaked to the Israeli press. And it is worse than Hamas's civilian kill ratio and worse than Hezbollah's. They intend to murder civilians, and they murder them at about 100 times the rate of Hezbollah and Hamas. So that is definitely true. And if you're fighting to protect your land, as Hezbollah is right now in Lebanon, that is not terrorism. It's not even close to terrorism. The Israelis have marched in their fascist soldiers to take the land and the homes of those people. The people whose homes are being taken have every right in the world to kill those soldiers and to do anything they like with those soldiers within the laws of war. We believe in following the laws and human rights and all the right things, and we don't believe in doing war crimes. But do they have a right to kill the soldier who's trying to murder them and take their homes? Of course they do. That's a fact, right? But our press, generally speaking, is so deeply racist, so deeply bigoted against Muslims. They hate Muslims so much. And by the way, these days, Christians that are in Lebanon, Gaza, and West Bank, they go, no, they have no rights. They only have a right to be murdered by the Israelis. They can never defend themselves. And if they defend themselves, they're terrorists. But why? Why? The label terrorist clearly applies to Israel more and does not apply at all when you're defending your own land and territory. So they go, yeah, I know, but I hate Muslims and I want you to hate Muslims so that Israel can take more of their land. Okay, yeah, that's what, so that Scahill's criticism aimed towards American media or other American politicians is perfectly justifiable. But Ro Khanna's not in that camp. Ro Khanna is the only congressperson that went to the West Bank to hear their side of the story, while all the others are going to kiss the wall and kiss Netanyahu's ass and taking all these BS propaganda things. What are you beating up on Ro Khanna for? Literally the very best person in Congress on this issue, right? Now, having said that, I still agree with Ro, which is this peace is the right way to go. Jeremy's not wrong about what happened in the March of Return. And another reason why our national media is a bunch of monsters. They're deeply immoral people. So the Palestinians did it the right way, the peaceful way, and the Israelis slaughtered them. That's where Shireen Abu Akleh was killed. That's an American journalist, and a sniper shot her in the neck and murdered her. CNN and American government acknowledged that it was an assassination of an American journalist, and they said, oh, that's okay, Israel gets to do it. Israel gets to murder anyone they like. Israel gets to be terrorists. Israel gets to murder American citizens and American reporters, and we're not gonna complain about it, and it's all the Palestinians' fault. So we know, Jeremy, we all know the American media and 94% of the politicians in America are disgustingly racist. They despise Muslims, and they have a total double standard. But the guy who least deserves that criticism is Ro Khanna, and despite all of that, if we go towards violence, we're never ever going to win. And not only is it not the moral path, it's also not the strategically correct path. So John Brown didn't win, Martin Luther King won. So, okay, it's a needless debate to have with Ro Khanna. You should be having it with others. I get the frustration probably of Jeremy that no other politician will talk to them because they're all not all, but almost all of them are disgusting liars for Israel. But he's taking it out on the wrong guy. And the politics of it is, I mean, look at the Israel first attacks Ro because he didn't walk out in a rage over the interview. If he had agreed 1%, forget Israel first, all of establishment media would be like, yes, let's destroy Ro Khanna on behalf of Israel, right? And he didn't give him that opportunity. He's absolutely right. Don't give him that opportunity. Mainstream media, again, are evil. They're the bad guys. But a lot of people in America don't know how evil corporate media is. They don't know that every cable news actor is lying on behalf of Israel. They don't know that every one of them will attack Ro Khanna, maybe minus Chris Hayes, but that if given the opportunity. And look at this disgusting Todd Richmond, who's like, how dare you attack our soldiers? Dude, Israel murdered 23,000 Palestinian children, dropped a bomb on them, incinerated them, decapitated them. There was a video with a literal decapitated child. But Todd Richmond thinks, oh, those are only Palestinians. Murder them, slaughter them, right? Right, Todd? Right, Todd? You don't give a goddamn about that, right, Todd? All you care about is, oh, my feelings have been offended. You can't attack our soldiers. Well, how about when you were occupying the Palestinians for 58 brutal years and you murdered and you kept them hostage? Israel kidnaps Palestinians, thousands of Palestinians. Every year they stuff them into their gulags, their torture camps. No charges filed, no trials because they are a fascist government, okay? And then the Todd Richmonds of the world are like, yeah, of course, those Palestinians are subhuman. We are the chosen people. We get to crush our opponents, destroy the Palestinians, murder them, kidnap them. And our disgusting, lying, racist media comes out and goes, oh yeah, oh my God, Israeli hostages kidnapped. And we go, I agree, that's terrible, don't kidnap the Israelis. Thousands of Palestinians kidnapped, no charges ever given. Murdered, 10 Americans killed, nonstop. And our media goes, I don't see it. Oh, they're just subhuman Palestinians. They're not the chosen Israelis who should be sanctified. No, Jeremy, I agree with you. Their soldiers are not more important than the Palestinian civilians. The Israelis are sick terrorists. Now, having said that, you don't do like they do. The right answer is not to match them. And I know Jeremy's not saying that, okay? But the right answer is peace and civil disobedience and getting people to understand that the real terrorists are the Israeli soldiers who are doing all of that murdering, hostage taking. And yes, the occupation is obviously apartheid. How do you keep 5.5 million people in concentration camps? Now they've taken 70% of Gaza because they are thieves. And Todd, it's not because they're Jewish. That has nothing to do with it. 2/3 of Jewish Americans are against the current Netanyahu government. It's only radical Zionists who say, yeah, slaughter the Palestinians and take their land. We are owed everything. We're owed America's money. We're owed Arab land. We're owed all of it. No, you're not. You're a bunch of monsters. These radical Zionists who say that we should slaughter all the Palestinians, and our media disgusts me. So obviously you can see how mad I am about it, but the guy who's trying to make a difference on that is Khanna. So he's the guy who deserves this least of all. But yes, if we had any honest people in media, they would ask those same questions and a hell of a lot more to the other politicians, but they'll never ever do that because they all work for Israel.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, the fact of the matter is, and I think that Khanna actually mentioned this in one of those clips that we played, the American people are less and less pro-Israel. This is the least pro-Israel this country has been since Israel has been a country. And the American media is on both sides of the aisle, really, is doing its absolute damnedest to paint Israel in a kind, sympathetic light, and it is just not working. It's not working the way it used to before. Perhaps they took it for granted before, but it is not working, not at all anymore. And this sort of goes back to the last story that we were talking about with AIPAC spending tens of millions of dollars in the Michigan race to defeat Abdul El-Sayed. And the fact that they have to spend that much money, the fact that they feel that they need to spend that kind of money on these races should be very encouraging. In the end, sure, there is still a chance that we might end up with another pro-Israeli congressperson. And once they're in, we know it's very difficult to get them out. But as of right now, they're desperate, and that is worth celebrating.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.